They say the more things change, the more they stay the same. In our first story, Miranda Cohen travels to Tracy City to meet the owner of the oldest bakery in the state. And while she's there, she learns how the owner is savoring the success of the original family founders.
We are at Tennessee's oldest family-owned bakery. We are at Dutch Maid Bakery, started in 1902 by John and Louise Bagenstosh.
There are a few places and people in Tennessee who need no introduction. Since 2005, Cindy Day has been the owner of the famous Dutch Maid Bakery here in Tracy City. It's the oldest family-owned bakery in the state of Tennessee and the 13th oldest bakery in the country.
They bought this lot and they built the first bakery in 1902. And they had 6 boys. They lived upstairs and they worked downstairs, as with many European families that moved to America. And all 6 of the boys grew up inside the bakery. They all learned to work and to work very, very hard.
The picturesque views from the Cumberland Plateau reminded the family of their home back in Switzerland. They started baking and feeding the growing community.
When I bought the place, the original recipes, there was like this huge shelf full of all these notebooks. And some of them, that was the most remarkable part, was some of them were handwritten in German.
During the early 1900s, the bakery thrived in the booming town of Tracy City. When duty called, all 6 Bagenstosh boys gladly went to serve their country. They all came back and went to work in the bakery. Thanks to hand deliveries, horse-drawn wagons, and the newly installed railway, breads and cakes from the bakery were sent all over the state and even to 17 different countries.
And in the 70s, that was when our famous fruitcake really took off.
Once selling 30,000 fruitcakes a season, and Cindy uses the same tried and true recipe today.
We're just honored to, when we use those old mixers, to remember that many went before us and use those old mixers and that old dried fruit, the raisins and the dates and the cherries and the pineapple and all that going into it. So, yep, it's a lot of memories in that. I learned if a recipe calls for real butter, you should use real butter. If it calls for real heavy cream, you have to use real heavy cream. So we do all of those kind of things. We use real dark, rich cocoa, like we use all of the things that make it the best. Cinnamon rolls is like my #1 favorite thing. It's a easy, basic scratch recipe, but I love it. I make cinnamon rolls about every day.
Every day, Cindy and her staff are still hand rolling and proofing the same breads they baked back in 1902, including the chuck wagon bread and the salt rise bread.
We also make a variety of sweet breads that they didn't necessarily make back then, like we make pistachio almond, we make a chocolate raspberry.
But today, she is also serving up hearty breakfasts, old-fashioned sandwiches, and plated lunches.
So we do eggs, omelets, pancakes, French toast, and you haven't lived till you've had French toast on our bread. It's so delicious. And today we're making chicken and dumplings and green beans, pinto beans.
One day a man walked into the Dutch Maid Bakery and asked Cindy Day about the famous whiskey cake. Well, Cindy didn't know they sold a whiskey cake, but in fact they did. Years before, this particular man used to buy about 250 cakes for his employees. So Cindy consulted her very famous and very old recipe books. And sure enough, she found a recipe for the whiskey cake. And as soon as Tennessee made putting moonshine in baked goods legal, she solved that problem.
The Dutch Maid Bakery is once again a hub and a meeting place in Tracy City. Even the mayor, Stacy Hutchinson, likes to indulge.
Well, I'm a native here. This has been here my whole life. I can remember coming in as a kid, getting some cookies, and now I bring my granddaughter. We come in and get cookies, and the chess bars are my favorite in that department.
It means so much to me. when people come in and then they tell me that they remember this when they were a child, I want to be that link between the past and the future. I think that when I first bought the bakery, I did not realize what I was really getting into. I just felt like it was an old business that was important to Tracy City. But I didn't realize how important it was to Grundy County and how important it is to Southeast Tennessee and the whole state of Tennessee. I've tried my very, very best to keep it as much authentic, but yet into where we need it to be to survive.
Hey, how'd you like the story? We'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you enjoyed it, we have a lot more where that came from. Here's one you might like. And please click here to subscribe so you'll know when we premiere new videos. Thanks for watching.